Okay, hello there everyone and welcome back to another PHP programming tutorial. So in the previous video we talked about constructors, right? And how they are being called right away. So today we are going to talk about using arrays of objects and also about references and actual values. So in order to use an array of objects, it's very straightforward. We will use the previous example here. I'm gonna say, instead of a print here, let me copy these and comment this one. Okay, so here I'm gonna create the object X, create the object Y, and object Z. So all I'm gonna do is say people equals, this is an empty array. Now I could create the objects like this and then say array underscore push and I pass X. There you go. I think I could yeah, I could use array push one or more elements. Yeah, so basically Y and Z. Okay, so these three are sorry, where's the array name? Forgot the array name. Sorry. There you go. So here, one or more elements. Okay, so now we have got these. Now we could loop over them and print the value. So for I equals 0, I smaller than count of people. And then we have I plus plus. And just say people of I arrow a print. Sorry. Semicolon, and we save. Let's refresh here. Okay, so it worked right away. Basically, we are looping on the names and displaying them. And in order to see what's happening, it's very straightforward so far. So let's go to debug and listen for Xdebug. Okay, now it's running, everything looks fine. So let's go here and refresh. And the breakpoint is in here. That's fine. Press F10, 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 F10. So in order to see the values, this is X, this is Y, and now let me also see what the value of Z. Sorry, forgot the $sign Z. And finally, we need to display the array itself, which is people. So $sign people. Okay, and it's an array of 0. It has 0 elements. So let me collapse these, and I'm expanding this one. So F10. So if we open this one, you can see this is a person, and this is another person, and this is another person. Okay, I'm not sure why it doesn't display the value right away, but I am sure if I say people of 0, okay, does it view the values? Yeah, it does view the value. I thought the debug would display the details when I open it. That's alright, no problem. But anyway, you can see this is the first element, and if I change this with 1, you will see this is the second element, and if I change this with 2, this is the third element. And now if I run the code, this one will loop through each object here, which is the objects being that we previously pushed, X, Y, and Z, and they get displayed right away, and then the value OK is being rendered. Very straightforward, actually. Nothing much to complain about or to explain. Basically, you could define them like this. Another way, we could make it like this. Make a loop. So instead of this, I'll make an array of 3 elements, and now instead of these guys, I'll just say array push. I will say there are some people followed by new person of, and now I will use the number I multiplied by I. Okay, so this is not a real data, but basically I'm creating an array of objects, and the first name will be I, which is the value of the counter, and the last name will be double I. And then I'm gonna loop on them and display them. I don't need to push the values because we already created them. I'm just showing you a different way or different method to fill the array. So now I refresh this, you can see the values, and actually I could put this to 300, and basically you will get, so each one of these is not numbers but actually a person object, and this person object consists of the first name represents a number, the last name represents the number multiplied by itself, or number squared. Okay, so just something simple. I'm showing you that you could create objects, put them into arrays, and then do processing on them, right? Something very straightforward, and certainly you could send this array into a function, process that, etc., etc. Now that is given. Now we will move to another subject that is very important, which is copying objects and using references. So let me cancel these, okay, and let us have a look at this one. So we have x and y and z, right? So I have these 3 values or 3 objects. This is the first object, this is the second object, this is the third object, right? And let's refresh this one. Okay, we have these 3 objects. Now in string, let's say this is string strx, and it is gonna be John Smith, right? And then I'm gonna say strx2 equal strx. Okay, forget about this part before we show you what's happening. Let's forget about this for a second. So I have what? We have John Smith, and I'm copying this object here, and now I'm going to say strx2 equals str underscore x2 dot what is not at work, for example. And then I'm going to say echo str underscore x followed by br, right? And then I'm gonna display x2. So let's have a look what is happening here. Basically, we are creating a string that consists of the name John Smith. We are making a copy of that string here, and then we are concatenating the value is not at work, right? So let us refresh here. So I have John Smith and John Smith not at work. And before I do anything else, let me just debug it so that you make sure you get the basic idea and how things work with basic data types when we want to copy them. So let us refresh. Okay, so this is let me remove these guys. Give me a second, please. Okay, so strx and let me add strx2. Okay, so now this statement, when you are making an assignment of a variable to another, usually this is a copy. So now we have a complete copy of the first one. And if we do modification on the copy, the original does not get affected and we display the values. This is very straightforward. This works for numbers and normal data types. However, if you are working with objects, things are very different. So let me stop this. Sorry. So I'm gonna create this one, x, and I will make x2, sorry, equals x, and then I will say x2 arrow set name Michael, and then I will print x and x2. Now let us see what is going on. So first we are creating an object called John Smith. We are making supposedly a copy of this object, and then we are changing the name in the copy to Michael. Let's see what's going to happen now. So let's refresh. Person set name. Oh, set name, I forgot. Sorry. There you go. Let's refresh. Now, both are returning Michael Jackson. So the behavior here is a little different. And let me show you in debugging what is happening. So listen to debug. And here, this is going to be x, enter. And this is going to be x2, enter. So now let's go this didn't guess. Let's refresh. So first thing to do, press F10. Now you have X, it has John Smith. And now we are gonna supposedly make a copy. So what do we have? We have also John Smith. Now, if we run this code, you find that they both get changed. The reason is when you are making or using this assignment operator for objects, PHP does not copy the fields of the object. They just copy what is called a pointer for it or a reference for it. So any change you make it here will propagate to here. Basically, think about it like this. It's like you have a block of memory. Let's think of these x's as a block of memory. And these x's represents the first name and last name. Okay, so this is representing, let's say, the first name, and this is representing the last name. So when you create x, well, what's happening is that x is actually pointing to these two blocks. I'm calling them blocks, but these this part of memory. When you make this a statement or execute this statement and say x2 equal x, what's happening? You are not copying these, but rather the address in x, the memory address in x will be copied to this one. And since the memory address is pointing to these two, this one will also be pointing to these two. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So let's say in memory, just to make things a little bit more clear. So basically, computer memory is consists of, let's say, address and value in bytes. right? So each value between 0 and 255. But for simplicity and making things easier to understand, let's assume that each address represents a variable or a property. It's not how it works, but I'm just simplifying things for you guys. So let's say this is memory address 10001. Okay, and this is the location that computer is storing the first name. Okay, and this is where the computer is storing second name, right? Okay, so when you define an object x, let's assume that these are both represent x. So basically, the value of x inside the computer, this is memory, and the value of x at some location, right? Oops. So at some address 15000, okay, this is the value of x, and this value of x is actually what? It's 10001. So when you want to access an object, the computer will go to x, find this address, and use this address to find the content of the object, which is the first name and last name. So when you create a copy, which is x2 in this case, okay, so this is like x2. Basically, you are copying things. So you are saying here, let the address of x be copied into x2. So this one will be copied here, right? So what you see here is that x2 is what? It is also pointing to the same object. So when you use assignment on objects, you are making a copy of the reference to that object or a pointer to that object. You are not making an actual copy of the object itself. This is not the same for strings and integers, and if you miss that, you might make lots of problems when programming code, because you will think you are making copies of objects while you are just, using the same objects, and you will find that the code is not working as expected. So how do we solve this? Well, it's very straightforward solving this. Basically, you create a function that will make a copy. So all I have to do here, go to the class and write the following function, get copy, whatever name you like. It doesn't have to be get copy. You could call it ABC, but using a name that explains what the function does is a good practice. So anyway, I will just say return new person, and I'm gonna pass this arrow first name followed by this arrow last name. Okay, so this function is very straightforward. You are creating a new object, you pass the first name of the current object and the last name of the current object and return it to the as a result. So all I have to do here, I'm gonna say this get copy, open and close. Okay, so let us stop this for a second, save, and let's refresh. So now we have John Smith and Michael Jackson. Now let's have a look at the code again now and see how it works. This is totally different. So let's debug and refresh again. So what do we have here? We have this. We created the object, and now we are going to call get copy. So let's go here, F11. So what is happening? We are asking to compute the computer to make a completely new object. This is not the same object of John Smith. This is a new object, and we are passing the first name of the current object and the last name of the current object as parameters. So when we go here, you can see we received a first object, a last, first name and last name. Okay, and now you can see that we have x and x2. They seems to be the same because we made a copy, but when we change the values, only this one get changed because get copy returned a completely different object, right? This is a completely different object, so any changes done here does not affect the original. Okay, so yeah, this is the basic idea. This is what I wanted to explain to you because I think it's very important to understand the difference between copying uh, uh, you know, basic types and copying, or let's say yeah, assigning objects. Assigning objects usually means you are copying the reference only, or the pointer of the object only. But if you want to copy objects, you have to create a function for copying that object. Very important. And by the way, most programming language work this way, in object-oriented terms. So you have to pay attention to this. Yeah. So that will be all for today's video. I hope you find it useful and have a nice day. Bye bye.